We're back here at the LCK. It's 0-1 in favor of Kingzone DragonX on the backs of Cuzz and his Majai's AP Gragas jungle. But it wasn't just that. It was Gen.G invading the jungle and being a little bit crazy at level 1, giving Kingzone a massive lead, and Kingzone just never let go from there. So Gen.G, I don't know how you come back from that one, but again, it has to be a game where you kind of wipe it from your memory and try to reset for game 2.
Yeah, and game number 2 is gonna have to be important for them, but where's their mental state, like you were saying? Because that game was quite a blowout. It's gonna go down in the record. It's gonna be a game that we refer to many years from now, probably, when thinking about Gen.G. And so Kennen gonna be banned in the window. Karthus will be following it, and then Sejuani. And Gragas now.
Okay. All of the Cuzz junglers now. What's next, Elise?
He was waving his hand. He's like, I don't want to play against it. Not again. Not this time.
Yeah.
So we're going to maybe go with 3 jungler bans. That would be pretty interesting, although I don't think that it should be 3 at this point. Looks like they are contemplating what their last ban will be. It's going to be Jace.
Yeah.
And you would have to do this if you want to just take the Gangplank. Jace, really, really, really good against the GP. Sir Thomas, this might be the last time that we see him, at least potentially in top lane, although I have a feeling that Kingzone would probably just want to use him down in the support role, although he did get hotfixed.
Yeah, the response here is going to be Karma Lux. We've seen this before. It's just massive amounts of shielding all together. It can really get out of hand. We don't really have the shield breakers like we will on 9.14 just yet, so it can be hard to deal with, especially if Gen.G can get ahead in this one.
Varus now picked up, and they might lock in the Yasuo. That'd be a little bit surprising, though. The performance of the Yasuo last game left a lot to be desired.
Oh, but you know what's even better than that.
Oh, yes.
Azir. Oh, but Corki's available.
Oh, Neeko.
So I don't know. Yeah, they're going to mix it up. I like this.
Neeko's really good against Gangplank as well. Neeko is everything that Kennen wishes he could be. So now with her being picked, she's able to be flexed into the middle lane and top lane. Will Gen.G still just pick the Gangplank? Doesn't seem so, as they're hovering the Skarner. And now J4, they're going to continue on with jungle pinching, as Jarvan will bite the dust.
Kind of interesting to see just how far they go with the jungle pinching. And the side of Kingzone, they can do the same thing, especially for the top lane. We talked about CuVee picking mostly comfort, only comfort. He's got a champion pool currently of Kennen, GP, and Gnar. So if you can take away a bunch of that, then you can really give one of the guys on the other team. So I don't mind it at all.
Corki is the final ban by Gen.G. And now Kingzone will have to decide what they want their last ban allocation to be. And again, it's always hard when Karma is already picked, because she's just so versatile and able to go everywhere. And also, even the Lux is able to be flexed if need be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big fly champion. We've seen him play him multiple times now. It wasn't just a one-time thing. As Ruler's flailing around, he's saying, please give me perhaps the Ezreal. And that is exactly what it's going to be. It's a pretty popular ban. We saw it yesterday and the day before that, but even up against these two players who are Ezreal gods in their own right, it's fallen through a couple of times.
It's like Cuzz is considering what jungler he wants to pick right now against this team composition.
Kind of an awkward spot. He's going to go with the Zac. I don't think he found inspiration from Tarzan earlier, but perhaps this is just a thing.
He's gonna make it 50%.
Yeah, he wants to get that win, the first one. Hey, you never know. I just hope he's a little bit more in step with his team like he was in Game 1.
Oh, yes.
Now we pick the Azir. After the Corki's banned.
So Azir is locked in, and now Gen.G, they gotta pick a champion for CuVee unless he's just gonna pilot the Karma up there in the top lane, in which case we could see a Veigar end up coming out.
Yeah, so many flexes going on right now. And,
there it is.
Oh boy, you called it right away. The Veigar coming out here for Fly. Really not messing around.
Veigar is one of Azir's biggest counters that can still exist in the current meta. And so I liked the adaptation that they did inside of this draft, and they sort of trapped Kingzone with a lot of their picks, and now Gen.G are the ones that find themselves with a lot of answers, but does Kingzone have the ability, is Rascal potent enough to actually pilot Azir top lane? These are one of those spots where you wish that the pro players were capable of doing stuff like that, because then drafts could really, really get exciting. But maybe Naehyun will just take the Azir top lane.
Actually, that's a really good point. I mean, nowadays we have seen a bunch of swaps. We see that Sandbox loves to do it a lot. So definitely keep that in mind, guys, as Naehyun could absolutely flex that one.
Well, Neeko, Zac, Azir, Varus, and Sir Thomas is going to be the team composition for Kingzone. They don't find themselves with as many advantages coming out of draft as they did in game number 1. And on the flip side, Ezreal, Lux, Veigar, Skarner, and Karma. There's a little bit of anti-synergy in this team composition. Quicksilver Sash is not Veigar's friend, not Lux's friend, and Skarner is going to force the enemy team to build a lot of that. There is so much magic damage on this team.
Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive. That could be something that just works against Gen.G. You're just going to stack Dragon's Tooth.
We'll see if they can make it happen here as we hop in for game 2. Gen.G fans are not satisfied with Game 1's performance. That was one that everybody wants to forget about if you are on the Gen.G side. But that does happen. You know, the series is not over yet. We have seen reverse sweeps happen in best of threes. And we do have to give credit to Gen.G for going on a massive win streak. I don't think that Game 1 is indicative of their current level right now. So I kind of want to put that on the back burner, say, yeah, that game was a wash, but, you know, give it to them. This is why we play best of threes. And let's see if Gen.G can actually put up a fight this time.
They're going to have their work cut out for them with so much magic damage on their side. It's going to be a little bit hard. I really like the spellbook on the Veigar. Interesting, I don't know if it was you or Atlas that I was casting with last time.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you? Okay, so I'm so curious why Leprechaun Veigar isn't selected. That's the advantageous skin. But I don't know if it's banned.
Really? Yeah. What is advantageous about it?
Some of his animations. I'm not sure which. I just know that it's the advantageous skin.
Okay.
I know that, I think it was Final Boss, or Battle Boss Veigar.
Yeah, yeah.
That was buggy a while ago, although I don't know if that was ever fixed. Normally I don't read the bug fixes or patch fixes at the end of patch note rundowns.
Yeah.
That's just kind of weird. The entire point of the patch is the skins.
Yeah, okay. Well, we do not have the Steel Agent Lux either. That's kind of the advantageous Lux skin, the one where the Q is basically invisible. And I believe we have seen that before in the LCK, so I don't believe it's banned. But people got the preferences. They're not going to be playing those ones. As Life, at level 2 here for Deft and TusiN, going to take a massive chunk of damage.
In the way that the early game is panning out, looks like both of the junglers are going to be content on full clears. And realistically, Gen.G, they can't really do anything without Skarner. There's almost no way for any of these lanes, with the exception of maybe Karma, to look for a solo kill. And I say that mostly because Sir Thomas down there, he has the cleanse, he has flash. And setting up the kill there in bottom is just so difficult. So we're in for a pretty slow game. A little bit ways away from level 6, Valdez. So what would you like to talk about?
Well, you know what they say, LS, you snooze, you lose. So I'd like to keep focus.
I always snooze.
I'd like to keep focus on the important things, such as TFT and what your favorite breakfast cereal was.
You know,
There's a correct
answer,
by
I
the
was
way.
on the train coming over here today, someone tweeted, I can't remember who it was, but they were in a market and they didn't know what cereal to choose.
Really?
Yeah, it was really weird.
Did they just not eat it, or?
No, there were so many good options.
Oh, okay.
There were so many good options.
All right.
And now I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit hungry, actually.
And you know, here at Lowell Park, one of the things they have in the green room, right, is the talent room, is the Rice Krispie breakfast cereal bars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those are great. Those are fantastic. So, what is your favorite cereal?
I'm a big fan of s'mores.
Wrong.
S'mores is really good. That's kind of like my specific one that I really like, but in terms of like top tier, maybe like Cinnamon Toast Crunch I think is up there.
That is a good one. Do you like perhaps peanut butter or Captain, what is it? Captain Crunch. Oh, peanut butter toast crunch, right?
What? No, I think it's
what
like
is it
Captain
called?
Peanut Butter Crunch or something.
Is that what it's called?
I'm not sure. I never had that one, actually. Not even once. Weird.
Don't be deceived by this gank attempt up here in top lane.
Okay, well, we're going on to CuVee as he is going to have a bit of trouble here. Has to flash away. The flash in from Cuzz as down he will go. The first blood will be handed over to Rascal as Peanut was there, but he was not there on time. Ugh. Gotta feel bad if you're just a couple seconds behind.
And so, being a little bit slow right there is really problematic, mostly because the junglers are so slow already with the way that they're going to interact with the lane setups. And so that was a really unfortunate time there to die for CuVee up in top. He ends up having double amp tome off of this. He really shouldn't have died right here, but you can see he's in an awkward spot with the lane state. Cuzz able to make this gank work, and you can see Peanut was just there on the edge, but not able to make it.
Okay. Something about getting the kill originally, but yeah, I mean, it was a great play too by Cuzz. Just the timing on the lane state was perfect, as you mentioned. He was able to land the Elastic Strike, just get on in there, and yeah, I mean, make a great play happen already. And you're talking about, you know, one of the lanes where we might see some kind of action, a solo kill, but already the Karma is going to fall a bit behind on the Neeko, so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes.
Now the jungler's probably just going to go back to clearing. Mountain Drake is the first one of the game. And so if Kingzone can actually get their hands on it, their team composition is already pretty good at shredding through Baron. Could really create a lot of problems, even though there is so much poke from the red side. That does make it easy to try to stop Baron captures. There's a big wave crashing here. Peanut doesn't have level 6 yet, though. And Scuttle Crab is RNG spawned onto the left-hand side, which is where Cuzz has to path to. So Peanut, he's going to want to get his red buff and then probably transition into the Scuttle Crab, unless Cuzz would fail this gank.
Oh, nice try. But Fly really quick on the trigger there. Doesn't waste any time to just get out of there real quick with that flash.
And now Cuzz immediately goes over to the Scuttle Crab before just going over to the buff. He wants to make sure that he secures that for himself. Peanut just continuing to actually power farm.
Just doing what he can, trying to hit 6. He hits it up there on the top side. Already going to be used by Fly. Another nice use for that unsealed spellbook in the mid lane, just to farm up your Q and stay in lane for even longer. You're not as blue dependent. It's definitely the best rune, I'd say, for the Veigar.
And the game's going to go back to being a little bit slow, as both of these teams, realistically, they want to scale up towards more of their items, and then it comes down to a battle of the Karma and Luck shields, and what type of picks can actually be coordinated via the Skarner and Pale, as well as the Veigar Event Horizon. And like I mentioned earlier, though, the QSS tax is going to basically be counterproductive for the way that Gen.G drafted, where it's going to help out Kingzone in so many situations that isn't just Skarner. The natural magic resistance against all of their champions, the fact that Luck's Binding as well as Event Horizon will be less effective. And to boot, Naehyun and TusiN, they already have Cleanse as their natural summoners.
Yeah. And, you know, this is a choice that Gen.G made, right? We're going to check here and see the bad news that they can't deal with this Mountain Drake take into Infernal next, but they had a chance to throw the Lux into the mid-game, or mid-lane, rather, or move around the Karma, right? They had that kind of double flex going on. They could have just picked a different support instead of picking the Veigar, so for certain, you know, they could have changed things up a little bit in terms of their reliance on the magic damage and stuff like that, we were saying.
And Infernal is the one that will spawn next, 4.5 minutes. It's super important for obviously both teams to get this, as both benefit from it really, really well. Gen.G benefits from it a little bit more so due to their champions, but also because they need whatever they can to increase their damage output to try to mitigate how painful the magic resistance stack can be against them into the later stages of the game. Cuzz now, though, RNGing like a god, ends up finding himself yet another Scuttle Crab, so everything is just going Kingzone's way this game. The Spire has been taken. Scuttle Crab ends up being captured right there. Peanut is down about half a level, and now he's stealing XP from his mid laner, so that's not a very happy feeling.
He's stealing it here. They don't really have vision on the Rift Herald. They put down a ward, but then Peanut just goes to do the Krug. So you can see that Gen.G are saying, okay, we just don't want to fight right now. We're not happy with this. We just have to give it away to Kingzone. But already, I mean, it's over 1,500 lead for the side of Kingzone, and they're only going to get more. So on top of the Drakes and on top of all of the lane wins that they're getting, Kingzone only lining up to get even more.
Now we resume the part of the game where it passively farms.
Yeah.
These are exciting lane matchups, I will tell you that much.
I mean, when we saw the Azir, we kind of knew what to expect, right?
Right.
There's part of the reason why we kind of do a silent tier for when we don't see an Azir. But, yeah, I mean, he's just a top tier kind of pick nowadays, so it is unavoidable, especially for Naehyun. It's one of his favorites.
And Deft finds himself with a 2 CS advantage currently, not really that big. The one lane that is really suffering is the mid lane. Fly, not just down in CS, but also down in XP, because his jungler stole some of the XP away from him. And also, just in terms of runes as well, they will be down a little bit in terms of effectiveness because the Veigar does have that spellbook, so later game team fights, he is stunted a little bit. And spellbook was mostly supposed to be able to offset some of the pressure and provide an advantage in the early to mid transition, but not really going to be able to find it all that much. QSS already completed for Naehyun. Magical Boots has just now come in. And so Kingzone are light years ahead. Doesn't really matter about this Event Horizon.
Yeah, they're trying to, you know, bait him into not sticking around for the gold, but with everybody from Kingzone rotating mid. They're just going to say, okay, well, there's not much we can do here. As Rascal is going to get that slow off with the initial augment and the Twin Shadows, having a fun time here too. Naehyun actually in an awkward spot this time, has to go through it with the QSS. By the way, he has QSS and Cleanse, which is, you know, he's taking all of the CC in this game very seriously.
You can already see the magic resistance beginning to be stacked across multiple members as Cuzz, he completes the Negatron Cloak after the Cinder Hulk completed. Also the Red Smite, just to reduce the damage that much more. Don't really need the Chilling Smite with the lane setups that he has for himself. Infernal Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. Rascal.
Not sure about this one, Cuzz. I mean, he has a lot of magic resist, but we still got this Impale available. The rest of Gen.G trying to rotate over. Here's TusiN thinking about getting on in there.
They TP, they will. That'll make Zach immune and immortal for the time being.
Not sure if Kingzone can hold on to this fight, though. Everybody's getting baited in one by one. Deft is going to go down. Cuzz is extremely low. And he's going to go down to 1W as well. That is 3 kills. That will go the way of Gen.G off of everybody from Kingzone getting baited.
And also, Rascal's teleport got canceled by CuVee, I believe, up there in the top lane. So they're going to give over the Infernal Dragon. Skarner, take a look. How much? All right, you got 1480.
Yeah.
Amazing. So much longsword and a half. And Gen.G, they brought themselves now back into the game. I don't know if it's enough to say that they have a lead right now, but you can see this tether. CuVee did not want Rascal to go into that fight. As we take a look at how this all ends up transpiring. Now, Naehyun just recalled in mid lane. This is where the junglers get really, really angry in solo queue. Where you had 35 seconds, a minute to prepare your lane so that this didn't happen. But then Cuzz, he gets caught out. TusiN comes over to try to save him. He uses the Devour. Deft, trapped inside of the Dragon Pit, doesn't want to flash the wall because all that it's doing is delaying the inevitable. And this is really, really poor setup by Neeko leading into the Dragon.
Thank you, Cuzz, is what Peanut said right there at the end. So a little bit of trash talking in his own chat from the side of Peanut. We'll see if that works out for him. As it was a good moment for Gen.G, no doubt. I think the Infernal Drake is the biggest loss there in the end. But on top of that, 3 kills and everything else, a big momentum swing. As the morale can be feel a little bit lower on the side of Kingzone, but the push is still on. Fly is desperately trying to stop this push with the Eventorizing, doing a decent job.
And so now, Gen.G, they're trying to hang on to their mid-tier 1 turret. And like I said, the Infernal Dragon, it's really good, but it still doesn't entirely negate the fact that they're all dealing the same type of damage. Now, Ruler, he's going to try to alleviate some of that pressure by going Trinity Force on the Ezreal rather than the Iceborne Gauntlet, just so that he has a little bit more physical damage coming in his way. And so now Naehyun, after having raised that mid-tier 1 turret, he erected the Shurima turret there in mid. Fly's just going to be able to bring that down in just a second, but not before Naehyun utilizes it just a little bit. And bottom lane turret is also under enormous amounts of pressure. And it should be noted that the Gen.G team composition, despite having a lot of poke, they've done virtually 0 damage to any of the turrets on the side of Kingzone. And so that's going to be a lot of locked up gold that they're not going to have access to for quite a while. CuVee, I don't think that you're long for this world.
Yeah, taking that one up for just a moment, and it's 3-on-1. That's not fair, but Cuzz doesn't seem to care, as that will be a nice little kill handed over to the Zac.
Really nice rotation here by Deft, and TusiN comes into mid lane so that Gen.G don't have an option to try to punish the Azir roam and get chip damage on that mid-tier 1 turret. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, they had the priority as well. And so Ruler, he's going to take a little while to crash that wave onto the turret. Life's not going to be there for it. That's going to be a solo adventure with just a Sheen. It's not even Trinity Force, as now Rascal and Naehyun
Oh,
up
boy.
here in top lane. They're looking for two. Cuzz is here as well. Fly gonna be really careful.
Yeah, has to flash away from that one. I think the bait should be coming in here as Fly just gonna hit him in the face with that Primordial Blast. Sandu came a little bit too far on that one. No flash and no passive from the Zac, so just able to shut him down.
Lots of damage done to that mid-tier 2, but meanwhile, Ruler, I'm about to say Reeler, got the bottom tier 1 turret. And he got a little bit of chip damage there onto the bot tier 2. As this Veigar is getting there. He's pretty fed. I'm not quite sure what his passive is at right now. That is one of the main factors of the Veigar. As we take a look at this replay, this is the story about a bird and his jello coming up to top lane.
Oh boy. Sounds like a fun novel that I'd like to read. This is not one that I want to read.
Cuzz actually walked into it.
Yeah.
He didn't need to die, I don't think. I think that had he not been stunned by that, he can dodge the Veigar W, doesn't tank the turret shot. At the very least, he can live for a lot longer.
Yeah, and I mean, he's trading his life for the Veigar's flash, so maybe if there was a big objective to go for that wasn't this Clown Drake, they could have taken advantage of that, as the Veigar only has a barrier at this moment in time. Still should be able to lock up this area around the Cloud Drake, but we'll have to wait and see if Gen.G want to go on any plays here and make this happen. Nice amount of damage so far. Peanut thinking about coming on in here. Root already. Fly not really in position. He's way back there as the smite is going to come in, and the kill actually goes to the Azir as Gen.G smartly say, we don't need to do this for the Cloud Drake, and they just back away.
Kingzone now trying to rotate immediately into mid lane. And unfortunately for them, they roll another Clown Drake. Well, that one's going to be a Cloud Drake. And then they roll a third one that's crowned
boy.
them. So, Peanut.
TusiN just had to flash because Peanut was near him
Yep.
as he got bound up there. Kind of an awkward spot as they were desperately just trying to stop this from going down. Deft eating a bunch of damage there on the backside from Ruler, who is not willing to go away until he gets that last auto on the turret.
And now, Peanut going to get this Spire on the left-hand side. And TusiN pushing mid lane now with Deft. There's not really an objective to achieve right now, and so the game enters a lull state. Veigar, this is actually really good on Veigar. So it looks like his passive is at 164 right now, which is pretty good. Not the best that it could be for a mid lane Veigar, but
Yeah.
he's doing all right on that front. And Banshee's Veil is actually the second item of choice for him, which is a little bit surprising. Yes, there is a lot of magic damage on the side of Kingzone, but it is surprising to see that he's going for more utility and defensive options rather than just getting a Void Staff and trying to continue for straight raw damage.
Yeah,
This looks like an assassination mission. Like,
I guess this is the reason, right? Because Kingzone are just saying, if we find Veigar, we kill Veigar. And yeah, I can't really blame them. As Rascal has to be so careful. I mean, Ruler with red buff. Peanut bodyguarding there on the left side in the river. Kingzone kind of in a position looking for the Veigar. Are going to sustain a bunch of damage in this mid lane, even on that tier 2 turret. So got to be careful with how you approach this, as Ruler is becoming a big Ezreal really quickly in this game.
yeah. He is really, really fed in terms of just raw gold right now. He has the Trinity Force, Muramana already completed. And Karma with the Luden's Echo and the Athenes, they can also just tank the Baron for days. Peanut also has a level advantage.
Yeah, the things are going well for them so far. Rascal trying to do a bit of scouting, but this entire river is owned by Gen.G. Kingzone don't have really any vision around this top side. They have one control ward at the enemy red buff, and that's about it. We do have a bunch of control wards in their inventory, but it's not a ton. It's only 1 for 4 members, so 4 total. And they're going to have to go in there and reclaim some of that territory. I mean, they're ahead in gold. It's not the only thing, but this is more even of a game than just giving away all the vision.
Kingzone now posturing around the Baron. Void Staff also completed on the Azir. I can't tell you how happy I am right now, Valdez. It's not a Morellonomicon.
He's been doing this a lot, actually. We have been seeing a lot of Void Staff second from a bunch of the mid laners here.
Good.
In the LCK. They're learning.
They are.
They've been watching your stream. They're like, oh, okay. I get it now.
Well, Kingzone might want to just get themselves the Cloud Drake. It's coming up in 50 seconds. They can try to roll another Mountain or an Infernal. It's not that valuable. There is also an argument to trying to end the game with an Elder Dragon, in which case you would allow the Elemental Dragon to live until 30 minutes and then consume it.
But not going to go for that just yet. Nice amount of value there from the side of Ruler. Trying to get some poke down. Peanut in an awkward spot. That's a big play by Cuzz. Doing so much CC in the backline, but everybody else is zoned out by the huge event horizon. That was all Fly just able to shut him down. Peanut's able to flash in for the alley-oop on the backside. And that is going to be a huge quadra kill for Ruler as Gen.G have taken control of the game.
And Gen.G now, they're going to get the Baron, and they are a poke composition now with this Baron. And so, it's going to be so difficult for Kingzone to actually hold this off. And if you're Gen.G, now you're the one thinking about the Elder Dragon. And so, what do you do here? Well, it looks like Naehyun actually, he's going to force that another Elemental Dragon ends up spawning. And it will be an Infernal, so this is fantastic now if you're Gen.G.
Yeah.
You say thank you very much, good sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
He says no problem.
Thank you for making it spawn so fast. That was very generous of you. Yeah, definitely a question mark there. I don't think the second Cloud Drake is going to help them win all that much, as we're going to take another look at this great play here. The event horizon just zones everybody.
Well, we see what is going on here. Cuzz, he's in there, but you can just see he's separated from all of his teammates. The event horizon locked everyone up. Naehyun, he just couldn't do any raw damage in this team fight, and he's such an integral part to it as the AP carry. Go Baron, eat Baron.
Nice.
Nice.
That was the last one.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you woke up
I
in
just
there.
wanted to help out, you know, just doing my part. So, I mean, that's a one-time team fight swing that just gets them so far ahead in this game. They're able to get a bunch of different objectives. He's TPing away as Peanut was coming in real quick. But
Yeah.
he's able to get to safety because of that play.
We're going to clear out vision now, and Peanut is up 2 levels. Naehyun's also down a level. And Ruler's up a level, so I'm just taking a look at the level differential across the board. It's one of the unsung stats that really does provide quite a bit of an edge in games, as the Varus, he's still ways away from his 3rd item. And it looks like Banshee's Veil will actually be the item of choice for the Azir.
Yeah, and this will become an interesting game 3 if it does get to it. I feel like Naehyun is kind of like, okay, well, I'll probably be best off just split pushing. I don't know that I can help my team against this Baron. Trying to stop the back here, but a misread on where he was backing. So now the Azir is in position for this play. See what they can do.
It's 50 seconds on the Baron, so that probably means that there's 2 waves left, but that is such a large wave. Event Horizon comes down.
It's going to be pretty insane if they could actually stop this. Mikhail's now on Ruler. He's trying to take it into his own hands. Going to tunk down Naehyun already. Event Horizon's good, as that poke is for real. Peanut going forward, really wants to get that one, but the Devour is on point. And now the flash forward from Fly. If he landed the Q, I think Naehyun might have died there on the backside, so props for the try. And they're just not stopping here with the Baron. They got 20 seconds left. They think they can at least take some turrets here, but in goes Cuzz. And a big ultimate from the side of Rascal, but where is the follow-up? Where is the DPS? They're all behind the Event Horizon again, as nobody can quite do it here on the side of Kingzone. And Gen.G showed no signs of stopping, just gonna hang around, take out Naehyun. Finally, we see an Emperor's Divide in this game, as down will go the Nexus, as Gen.G will force this to a game number 3.
All right, well, that was a very bizarre turn of events. You know what? It actually looked like the previous Zac game that we saw earlier on here tonight, where one really key decisive moment of Zac going in, being separated from his team, results in a major objective loss. And I mean, this game, it also initially started with Naehyun and Cuzz's mismatch on timing, which I'm gonna blame the mid laner for. Always, you hit tab, you see what time the dragon's spawning, you manipulate your lane state to be favorable for you, you get a proper recall timer. No, the jungler doesn't wait for you, nor does the bot lane, who had their priority, had their tempo. And so the mismatch resulted in Cuzz was dying in River, Teleport came in and got cancelled, Naehyun was recalled, Infernal Drake went the way of Gen.G. And then that was just the very beginning, even though they were bleeding in every lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this Zac pick, to be honest. You go in, you do what CC, you're really far away from everybody else. It can obviously work if everybody goes in at the same time, but as you were saying, it's like one person goes in and it's like, wait, no, we can't do anything. There's actually a giant box in our face. Like, what are we gonna do? It was a good draft. I mean, we were kind of questioning the Veigar at the end, at least I was. It turned out to be a great pick, and Fly seems to really know what he's doing there. So props to him and props to Gen.G for making this into a series, especially after the way that game 1 went.
Yeah. Game 1 definitely was mentally shattering for probably most people, and now it looks like Kingzone are the ones that are looking like the FLICKR team. There's no damage on the side of their team. There is absolutely zero that was being done. Kingzone, they were ahead at several points inside of the game, but it really, I'm curious if that one fall was actually the Zac thing, getting caught in River. I'm imagining that.
I would imagine it was, because it was that into 3 kills, 4 kills, into Baron, into, you know, pushing. So it was like, woo,
right
off the side of a cliff. And that is the way it went. Kingzone draft looked much better, I'd say, on the red side, and also just a couple of times getting caught there. And those team fights were not the greatest, so Kingzone themselves also have to go back to the drawing board. They were looking great in the beginning. They've had some troubles with inconsistency in summer, but they've been looking good for a while. And, well, just one game is going to be given over to Gen.G. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens in game number 3. And now Kingzone are going to be the ones that have to bounce back from a pretty surprising loss.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult. We'll have to see if they can grab all their mental and put it back into one head, as we will go to a break and come back with the final game of the night.
캡니다. 나 각을 입고.
좀만 기다렸어. 가자.
나 미카엘 야 개피 다. 가자.
또 V가.
펜치 높게요.
미카엘 있어요.
리프 잡았어. 자크도 내려올게. 자크도. 야, 펜타.
바로 가자. 장수 먹고.
좋다. 바로 이렇게 나이스. 용 한 명 가고.
V가 탑가라.
한 명 탑가.